welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I thought I would do something different. I was doing inventory videos, but I thought I'm not getting too many views on there, and maybe everybody isn't quite interested in what's in my stash. So, or just going through and talking about my stash. So I thought I would mix it up a little. I saw a few other YouTubers do ranking different products. So because I don't really have enough products to declutter and show you that video, I figured why don't I do my bronzers, blushes, and highlights as a ranking video. So for today, we will do bronzers, and this is my bronzers ranking video. I don't have that many bronzers, so this won't be too long, but I hope it'll be fun and informative, and maybe you will find a bronzer that you would like to try, or maybe you will rediscover a bronzer you already own and whip it back out and use it some more. I'm here just to inspire you. So anyways, if you are new to my channel, hi, I'm Elizabeth. Queenie is for me being named after a queen, and beauty is because I love all things beauty, not just makeup, not just skincare, not just hair care, but all of it. So I hope you will stick around, click that subscribe button if you haven't already, and let's just get started. So there are two bronzers in here that will not be in the ranking, and I'm going to explain why. So for this first one, this is the Too Faced Sweetie Pie bronzer. This is what it looks like. So I went through my bronzers. I only have 12 bronzers currently, and this one is older. I was trying to pan it for a few months in 2020, and I just didn't make a bunch of progress, as you can see. I wasn't happy with it. I didn't love the shade. It kept coming out red and not that like cute. I have a sunburn red. It was more like a just pinky red, and it was bringing out the redness in my cheeks. So I just didn't love this bronzer. So it's old. It's been in my collection for a very long time, and I just thought, you know, it's time to get it out of my collection. One bronzer out of the other 11 that I have, that's fine. I can lose one bronzer. I feel like I got my money's worth out of it. I remember I purchased it on sale. I had waited until they went, I think this went on 50% off at Sephora, so I purchased it then. I've used it and used it and used it and still not making much progress, but I did love it for a while, and I feel like I got my money's worth out of it. So I'm not too heartbroken about letting it go. So that is why this one will not be in my ranking. And then, so why, I think I had a Sephora gift card or something, but I placed a Sephora order a while ago, or maybe I had a coupon, and I wanted to try something new. And so I picked up the Fenty Beauty Cream Bronzer in the shade Butter Biscuit, and I've heard great things about it, but I think I've just been so focused on my Project Pan items that besides swatching this, I have not used it at all. So I didn't feel that it was fair to put it in this ranking video because I haven't tried it yet. So those are the two bronzers that will not be in my ranking. Now we will be ranking the other 10 bronzers, and I'll go from 10 up to the number 1. And here we go. So for my first bronzer, just love roasting Too Faced, it seems. There's another Too Faced bronzer, and it's higher up, so I don't feel too bad. But this is the Too Faced Pineapple Paradise Strobing Bronzer in the shade Pineapple Sun. So it was one of those split pans. It was sold at Ulta only. And one side is a highlight. One side is a highlight. One side is a bronzer. And then mixed together, they make a very lovely, bronzy, glowy. There we go. So, I know these swatches are not perfect, but those are our swatches. It's okay. It's just a little dry. That's the reason I don't love it as much. It's a little dry, and when you just use the bronzing side, it's not, it's a little orange. It's a little orange when I use it. Even in the summertime, it just gives off this hint of orange. So it's okay, but it's not my ultimate favorite bronzer, but if it's still in my collection, then it means that it's good enough that I will use it multiple times this year. So I have used this. I do like to use it in the summer. I like the glowy part. I like mixing the two shades together. So this is a nice bronzer. It's not my favorite. It is discontinued, but it's a pretty decent bronzer. Then for number 9, and this one is too dark. And it's so low because I could not figure out for the longest time what the shade progression was. Like, they list them differently on Sephora, and then they list them differently on Ulta, and I was like, okay, what is the lightest shade? Or what is usually I get the second lightest shade in a bronzer. So what is the second lightest shade in this bronzer? And I just couldn't figure it out. So one day I was just in Ulta. There was a coupon. This is a trend. I buy things when there are coupons or sales. Actually, I watched a video about them making fun of Midwesterners who only buy things on sale, and I was like, I feel like somebody made this video about me. But anyways, so this is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Powder Bronzer in the shade Rosewood. I don't know if this is the lightest shade. I couldn't tell you to this day what the lightest shade in these daggone bronzers are. But I can tell you that this one just pulls, it's like, it looks so fine there. I don't know. Okay. Even there it doesn't look as red. Let me swatch it on my hand so this is easier for you to see. So there it is. It looks very cool toned. It looks fine. And then next to our other swatches, it looks cooler than the Too Faced bronzer. So probably that's why this bronzer gets more use from me than the Too Faced bronzer. But I swear, when I put it on, sometimes it pulls red. And I'm like, what? How is that possible? And especially looking at it now. But I remember putting on this bronzer and it looking so red. So I don't know. So part of the reason it's so low is because I never know if this is the right shade or not. And it's probably not. And I don't know if it's the lightest shade, or could I tell you what the lightest shade is? No. And I purchased it. I tried it on. I really hate returning makeup. But I thought about exchanging this because I remember, this doesn't look great. Like, I can blend it out well enough, and if I hit the excess off and really try to blend it in and then run over it with a beauty blender, I can make it work, but I don't want to put that much effort in. This is not a Monday running out the door kind of bronzer. Okay, I cannot use this on a work day because I'll be running out the door and I don't have time to do 50 steps for the bronzer. But it's okay when I'm on vacation or when I have the time, I will wear this. But it takes a little extra TLC to get it to look nice. So comment down below if you know what the lightest shade is in this. I would love to know. I would love to know the scale. Ugh, I wish they had numbered them. I don't understand. It's water time. Stay hydrated. Okay. Then, for number 8, we have, so real quick disclaimer, I have technically 2 contour products in here, but I only own 2 contour products that I use interchangeably as a bronzer. So it's like I wasn't going to do a whole separate video for 2 contour things. So again, I just use them as bronzer most of the time anyways, or for this next product, technically I put it down first and then I run over it with a bronzer, but I figured I'd just throw it in this ranking. So this is the MAC Mid-Tone Sepia cream color base. Okay, it's cream color base. It doesn't even say that it's a contour or anything. When I shot my stash video, I was talking about my Taraji P. Henson MAC lipstick. And I remember going to MAC, I think it was the Super Bowl. I'm pretty sure. Because my husband was, yes, watching football. And he doesn't do that very often. So I'm pretty sure it was the day of the Super Bowl. I went down to MAC, and there was nobody in the mall, so that's probably another reason. I went down to MAC to go get that lipstick because it had come out, and I saw it was available at my store. And then the lady sat me down, and she's like, hey, can we do your makeup? And I was like, I'm kind of in a rush. Like, I was just going to do this before I picked up some sort of food we were going to eat. And she's like, no, just sit down. And I just remember being like, I'm going to run out real quick. And I came home, and my husband was like, where have you been? why do you look different? Oh, because the ladies at the MAC counter did my makeup. So anyways, so they sat me down, did my makeup, and they put this on me. And I was like, oh, that's nice. And I was just so distracted. I didn't need this product, but it looked nice when she did it. And I thought, maybe I can figure out how to contour. Well, I sure haven't. And it's been 3 years since I bought this product. It's probably too old, but it works fine. And it smells just fine. So this is what it looks like. It's just a cream product. I use it as a cream bronzer. I really like using this in the summer or when I'm really dry. I don't use it very often because, again, I'm just worried that I'm going to mess it up or that I'm not going to blend it in enough. So I don't want to mess with it on a work day. But sometimes when I'm just playing around with makeup or if I'm on summer vacation, then I love using this. It's something fun and an extra step to do while I'm putting on my makeup and listening to my audiobook. So this is an okay product. It's not my number one product because it takes a little extra finessing to get it just right, but it's an okay product. Will I ever pan it? Probably not, because this cream will last forever and ever. Like, you need the littlest amount. I will probably never get through this, but I like using it when I do. Okay, then that was number 8. Number 7. Ooh, I did rank all of these Too Faced bronzers a little low. But actually, we're getting into the ones where I was having a hard time because I really love all of these bronzers. For bronzer number 7, we have the Too Faced Chocolate Gold Soleil Bronzer. And as you can see, the lettering is gone on mine. There's not much of a dip in it, but the lettering's gone. It's gotten some good use out of it. I used to use this bronzer every single day, and it still smells like chocolate. Yeah, it's still... I don't want to say reeks of chocolate. Like, when I opened it, it used to be like, whoa, chocolate. Now it's just kind of like you opened up a box cake batter. It's like, okay, so the smell is kind of dissipating, but it's still strong. It's still real strong. So this is a lovely bronzer. It's a little deep for me until the summer. So I only get use out of it in the summer months, and the glitter can be a little overpowering sometimes. I think I've finally gotten through the overspray. I will swatch it on my hand because I'm just the worst at showing you arm swatches, obviously. So it's still got the glitter. It's still pretty shimmery, but it blends so nicely. It is so smooth and creamy. It looks so nice. Gosh, I love this bronzer. I forgot how much I love this bronzer. It's a really great bronzer. I love using it. I use it all the time in the summer. Highly recommend if you don't have it. I do know they still sell this, at least on Too Faced website. Great. Definitely recommend. So beautiful. Okay, for number 6, this one's kind of in the middle because I just started using it. Oh my god. So I kind of just started using it like today. But I figured I would rank it anyways because out of all of these bronzers, I know how I feel about it. But this is the Balm Take Home the Bronze in the shade Thomas. And this is what we look like. Oh, we're so pretty. I like this bronzer. It's very nice. It blends in really well. It's what I'm wearing today. It's just a little light. I think that's what kind of throws me off, is that I was expecting it to be much darker. And, I mean, this is what it looks like in the pan. And somehow it looks not that dark. You can kind of barely see my bronzer. So, I don't know. It's okay. But I'm wondering if it just doesn't last very long. Granted, I did try a new foundation, so maybe this ranking isn't 100% fair. But I was just surprised it was so light. But again, I can build it up next time. I was just trying to get through my video. So, it's just in the middle because I haven't really used it enough, and because I think it needs to be built up a little to make it really pop. But it blends really nicely, so that's nice. Then for number 5, and this is a newer product to my collection, but I love it. I'm really glad that it came in the mini because, well, I still have a sufficient number of bronzers, so I don't always need a full size. So I loved that this came in a mini, and it's just so cute. This is my mini. So this is the Charlotte Tilbury Film Star Bronze and Glow. And as you can see, the writing on the bronze side is already gone. That's how much I've been using this. Like, I love this thing. I bought this around the holidays and so good. Oh, during the VIB sale. Again, never pay full price, kids. So during the VIB sale, I bought this and it was already inexpensive because it was $25. Then another 20% off. I was like, okay, let's just take the plunge, try it, see how we feel. I love this thing. It blends so beautifully. It would be in my Shop My Stash all the time if I could. But I'm trying to use all my bronzers. So, fantastic. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Again, this is where we're getting into the categories where it's just like, I just kind of had to think of a number because I really like all of these bronzers. I think they're all so good. After the bottom two and the matte cream, it's kind of like all of these could be interchangeable, but I really sat down and thought about what are our pros and what are our cons. For number 5, oldie but a goodie, and you can't tell that I've used this, but I have used this. This is the Marc Jacobs Omega Bronzer in Tantastic. So this is what mine looks like. I mean, we still have the ridges, but I've used this so much. So it blows me away. I don't know. I love this bronzer. It's beautiful. It's really nice. I hate traveling with this bronzer. It's huge. I will never get through this bronzer ever, but I like it. It's a beautiful color. It blends very easily. It's so creamy and smooth. So good. Oh, I was so happy to get my hands on this. I'm not going to tell you every story behind every bronzer, but I can usually tell you most stories behind the makeup purchases because it was usually during a sale. God, I'm a Midwestern gal, aren't I? This was number 5, and this was actually number 4. At least I didn't go too far and get confused. Sometimes I'm not the best at remembering this countdown. Anyways, so for number 3, and you are all very familiar with this if you've watched any of my previous videos. This is the e.l.f. Forever Sun-Kissed bronzer, and this is what mine looks like. This bronzer is very nice. I love the primer infused bronzers that they have. It's such a pretty color. It blends in so well. It's just one of my go-to bronzers. The reason it's ranked so low, and as you can probably tell, is that it's so light. So in a few months, I won't be able to use this. The moment I start driving around again and leaving the house and just getting a little bit of a tan on my face here in Arizona, it's real easy to get a tan. The second I get the slightest tan, this will no longer work on my skin tone. So that's the reason that it's ranked a little bit lower, but I love this. That's why I'm trying to get so much use out of it right now. I don't expect to hit pan while it's in my project pan. I just wanted to give it some more use. Maybe next winter I'll get pan in this bronzer. Who knows? But for now, I'm just trying to get as much use out of it as possible before it no longer shows up. So we're down to our last 2. And my number 2 bronzer, one of my favorites, is the Fenty Beauty Sun Stalker bronzer in the shade Private Island. Okay. This is what mine looks like. There is no print. There's no label anymore. It's just bare bronzer. I use this bronzer so much, and I love it. Okay, last story. Yes, I remember when I buy most makeup. So the first time Sephora did that whole you could swap your points for $100 gift cards, I went in and I bought the Huda Beauty, what was that palette? Oh, New Nude palette. I bought this bronzer and then something else. And they told you, okay, you cannot return anything you purchase with this gift card. And I was panicked. I'm like, what if this isn't the correct shade? What do I do? What if I hate it? Because I swatched it and it felt so dry. And I was just worried I was going to hate it. But I took the plunge and I said, you know what? That's fine. Let's just do it. I got home and I put this on my face and I loved it. I was so afraid because it felt so dry, but it blends in so beautifully. Oh, this bronzer is so good. It is my go-to. It will be the next bronzer that I roll into my project pan, and I may be able to use this year. and I would repurchase this automatically. This is such a good bronzer. Oh, I'm so glad that I decided to get this. And I used points to get it. Yes. Okay. And then finally, for the number one bronzer. And part of me feels like I'm cheating because this is a newer bronzer. But ever since I started using this last month, I haven't put it down. I keep neglecting my Project Pan bronzer. I keep neglecting all of my other bronzers. I have used different brushes with this to see if it really blends in no matter what, and it does. It blends in beautifully. I'm also ashamed of how expensive this is. This was another thing that I actually... It seems that anytime I fall in love with a bronzer, I have purchased it using my points at Sephora. And that is exactly what I did. I turned in my points for another $100 gift card back in November, and it was about to expire. And everybody on YouTube was talking about this bronzer. So I was like, okay, let's hurry up, use this gift card before it expires. And one of the purchases I made with that gift card is the Gucci Eclat Soleil bronzing powder. And I'm in the shade 1. Again, it's usually either 1 or 2, but 1 looked so, I don't know, it's a funny color. But it looks dark in the photos when it's really not that dark. But anyways, so this is our bronzer. It's so pretty. It blends in perfectly. Doesn't matter what brush you use. I could probably blend it in with my fingers and it would still look perfect. Any foundation, sometimes I forget to set my face before I blend in my bronzer. Doesn't matter. This thing blends. It just blends so well. And this packaging is beautiful. And like I said, I started using this and I can't put it down. I didn't want to go back to my Charlotte Tilbury bronzer, which when I purchased this, that was the thing. I was like, oh my God, I just want to use this over everything. But I still was able to like say, no, let's cycle through some other bronzers, keep using the e.l.f. bronzer. Remember, we're trying to Project Pan it. Not this one. This bronzer, as soon as I started using it, I haven't been able to stop. So good. I'm sorry, you're going to get tired of hearing about this because it's also going to be in my favorites video for the month of February because this bronzer blew me away. And I hate that I love this bronzer because it's so expensive. But it's worth it. Maybe not $60 worth it, but like if you can get it on sale, it's worth it. All right. So those are all of my bronzers. Like I said, I don't own a lot of bronzers. I'm still kind of newer to bronzers. I just started getting into bronzer. Was it 3 years ago? 3 years ago. So no, it's 2021. 4 years ago. I started getting into bronzer 4 years ago, and I panned 2 bronzers last year. I go through bronzers pretty regularly, so this is a lot for my collection, but at the same time, I know for a lot of other people's collections, this is an underwhelming number. But I like all the bronzers I have. I'm happy to use them all, and besides the one that I said I would letting go, I don't think I would get rid of any of these. I can make them all work at different times of the year, and they all serve their purpose. So I love these. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this bronzer ranking video. I hope it inspired you to go look at your own bronzers, see what oldies but goodies you want to reach back into your collection and use, or see what new bronzers you may want to introduce to your collection. So that's everything. I hope you will hit that subscribe button. Also, for the month of March, I am doing a green look every day on my Instagram, so I hope you will follow me on Instagram. Stay tuned for the madness, and I will see you in the next one.